Hi, welcome to another episode of
TakChek or PekChek. I'm Weiren,
I'm Nicholas.
and together we're an education lifestyle podcast where each week we take a topic, we discuss it, and at the end of the day, we decide whether or not it is TakChek, which is
Interesting
or PekChek, which is
frustrating.
okay. So for today's topic, recently it came out that there was a particular canteen vendor in a school. And he went viral for posting videos of his interaction with the students. Okay, but I think of late, one particular video drew a little bit of flack from various sides, from various parties, where I believe there was one student who actually threw the money at this particular canteen vendor
During payment.
and then after that the canteen vendor basically not exactly told off but gave the student a lesson. Just generally polite when it comes to
He handed back the
dealing
note
with
back
other
to the
people,
student and asked him to pass it back to him in a more
Politely,
kind manner. Okay.
Yeah.
So the vendor itself is Mr. Rainer Tan.
Yes.
He's 27 years old this
Yes.
year, and he is a canteen vendor in Mito School
Yes.
itself. So actually, I think one thing that you mentioned quite a fair bit was that he posts videos on the social media in terms of his interactions with students.
Yes.
So I think most of the videos, they are of pretty decent exposure. I think that there's people watching, but it was this that really drew the general flag from the public itself.
Yeah.
And I think most of his videos are usually very friendly banter, interaction with the kids, telling them what he's selling today, what's offering today. And, hey, do you want to try this dish? Do you want to try that dish?
Yes.
All right, and just for me, before we really get into the eye of the storm itself, I find it quite interesting that he sells vegetarian food.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's a vegetarian store owner.
Okay.
So I'm not very sure. Again, this might be off topic, but I'm not sure was it that when he was tendering for a place to sell in the school, Mito being a Buddhist school of nature, I would believe that vegetarian options are going to be quite important for some of the students itself. I mean, personally, if I'm a tuck shop vendor, I probably won't sell food that I am not familiar with, unless Mr. Rainer himself is actually a vegetarian, which I'm not very sure. But quite unique, and especially for someone that's so young to be dabbling into vegetarian
only, right?
food.
Yeah.
Yes, I find it quite interesting on that. But anyway, I think the current change of events, I think as of this podcast recording, there was actually the news that was being made that he will not be renewing his lease at the end of the lease, and he's quoting reasons such as unsustainable income.
I mean, we've talked about this in earlier podcasts before, where basically it's very, very difficult for canteen vendors to survive, right?
Especially during school holidays, the lull periods itself.
And this is a primary school, so I believe the prices that are being sold in primary school is going to be cheaper, even cheaper than, say, in the secondary schools or the JCs.
But I think even given the really, really subsidized rental, if let's say Mr. Tan he did himself claim that the income is unsustainable, then I think it could be quite jialat by itself . Okay, but anyway, let's dive straight into the eye of the storm. Okay, let's narrate the whole situation a little bit more, as well as the way that the social media content was being posted. So in the video itself that has already been removed, all right? So he was telling a student not to throw his $2 note at him while paying for the food itself. Okay, I am someone that, I don't know about you, but I think Singaporeans are all foodie itself. So me and my wife, sometimes we take a look at some IG reels and we found certain hawkers that's very appealing, we'll visit them, right? More often than not, the reels are perfectly portrayed. I mean, it's still an influencer trying to shoe out a particular store and all. Sometimes the food may be a little bit lackluster, but most of the time it hits the mark. But for me, I'm not sure about my spouse, but for me, I think what constitutes to a good experience, I know that I'm not in a restaurant, is my interactions with the hawker vendor. So, some hawker vendor, because of the sudden boom in popularity, a lot of people are, actually patronizing their store. They get a little bit grumpy. It's like, I have to do a lot in a short period of time, especially if, let's say, it's not the owner that's running the store, but rather they have workers, coming in, because they're drawing a fixed pay anyway. But on the other case, I have owners who are very passionate about their craft. I remember going to Adam Food Store. There's this really, really famous mutton soup owner. I think he got his don't quote me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure did he get a Michelin bib or 1-star Michelin. All right, but you can see his craft. He's having a bad ache. He has problems standing, but he's still over the copper pot. He's still stirring. And when you're telling him that the soup is good, asking for a refill, he's very passionate. Tell you, wow, I put in a lot of hours. So I feel like the interaction with a store owner is actually very, very important. So I can imagine if I am the store owner and my customer comes to me being very grumpy and having a certain expectation of how I am going to sell you my food, I will also get a bit PekChek for myself. So I think in this case here, I'm not very sure how old is this boy, but if it's primary school, they are anywhere 12 and below, I believe. All right, and I will say that the whole interaction of throwing money at someone, especially in an Asian culture, constitute to beggar. Constitute to be kind of a oh, you're a beggar, I'm just going to throw money at you itself from there. And I think that it's not that. And I feel that the store owner, Mr. Tan himself, he took a very civil approach. He did not explode it. All right. I mean, I don't know if I'm me, would have exploded. All right. But I think in this case here, he actually took the note back to the student. But then I think the problem here is that all this was actually documented. And then he posted on social media. So at this current juncture now, I think anything with kids' footages, and I don't think, is there any PDPA that's being signed over here that you're store owner, and thus the school knows, or did he declare to the school that he is placing a camera at, because the footage was from the top of the store pointing downwards. Do you have to do any kind of declaration that you are recording?
Well, I really don't know about this, whether or not there's any sort of... I suppose for security purposes, it is fine. But for posting onto social media, I think this is another whole grey area altogether. I'm not sure that the school expected this in the first place. So for the thing here that I find a little bit hard to accept, right? Okay, so speaking from the perspective of a parent, okay, and I have one kid in primary school also. So if I saw that my kid ended up on this guy's social media or this guy's wherever, like YouTube or whatever, I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, because now, number one, I don't think he hides the fact. I don't think he hides which school he works in.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is very identifiable which school that he works in, and from there it is very easy to narrow down people. So I think I don't know lah. Nowadays it's so easy to find information on the internet and on the web. So once you know like this person's where he worked already, then once you have interaction with the kid, right? And additionally, I think in all his videos he blur out the face, right?
He pixelated out the face.
Even though he pixelated out the face, like the person's voice and the person's behavior, his mannerism, they're all easily identifiable. Then can you imagine what happens if, let's say, somebody from a different class within the school saw this particular boy and then recognized this particular boy?
Because I think it's more likely for students of within the school to recognize the perpetrator per se as compared to the general public.
And then because of that, they start to dox or like maybe cyberbully this particular boy. I think this is something which we are entering a very, very grey area here with a lot of pitfalls. So I think while his intention might be good, I think we should take a minute to at least consider like, hey, actually, maybe this is like infringing on the person's privacy.
I'm just curious. Like this is a very aggravated example. So let's say your child made a mistake and is being reprimanded by you. Let's just say for that, all right? And if your house have CCTV, and just nice you and your child are in the frame of the CCTV, and let's say it's a very teachable moment, for whatsoever reason, it's a very teachable moment, you wouldn't have blurred out your child's face and upload on your social media of you scolding your child, right?
Yes. I mean, I suppose it depends. Different people have different priorities, right? I mean, if let's say you're a parent influencer, then you want to show you as a parent influencer wish to show people like, oh, this is how I discipline my child. All right, I think this is something which is I think in this day and age, it's very believable.
No, but I feel like usually those kind of parent influencer, for all this kind of their satire, is like very staged. But now I'm talking about like a real domestic situation whereby your child did something and you're reprimanding, and then you upload as a teachable moment. I feel like
No, I think it is believable to see that.
but would you
also
have blur out your child face?
But I think no, I feel that the difference here is, I believe some of these parental influencers, they may blur out the child's face, they may not, right? But I think the difference here is that if you are a parent of the kid, you are the parent of the kid.
Yeah.
So you have every right to make that information public. But in this example here, this canteen store vendor is not the parent of the kid.
Yes.
Yeah. So they by right, what he should have done is he should have obtained parental consent first, right?
But
whether or not they blur.
But which parent in the right mind will say, okay, yeah lah, my kid is an
some parents might, right?
Okay, but
some parents
the thing here is that
okay
all his post videos, his other older videos, also have the student's face being blurred, and there wasn't any flag at all lah. But it's just until you kena something jialat, right? Then people start to backwards, right?
And I think that the issue here is that, number one, this is the person pointing out that this kid did something shameful.
Shameful or wrong?
Shameful / wrong.
/wrong. Okay.
Shameful / wrong. Right. So when people don't like to be reprimanded in such a public way, right? So I think this is, I feel that at the end of the day, the parents were right to raise this concern, and the school is right to raise this concern.
Yep. But okay, but I always want to extrapolate to our world. So let's say you go to McDonald's, all right, and you threw the money at the server. The server did exactly the same thing, asked you to give the money kindly to them back, and they blow out your face and put it on social media.
Yeah.
So let's say now you're donning the TSA shirt.
Yeah.
They're easily identifiable, right? They know which company
easily identifiable.
So are you going to lodge a complaint to McDonald's for infringing your right? Or is there an unspoken understanding? I mean, if we have a lawyer here, it would be better like that when you enter an establishment, whatever you're in their CCTV is part of their collaterals. Cannot be, right?
Cannot be lah.
Cannot be. Or else everywhere you go, you're like walking billboard for other people, right? So I think this is the case over here. Like you post it online, and especially this is such a, I mean, again, I'm just thinking like before you even press the upload button, and the way that you curate the social media, you're not just putting a whole recording, you highlight the part of the videos that you want to emphasize. Like, wouldn't you already sort of knew the kind of impact that you would get, or rather you knew the kind of impact that you wanted to elicit? You know what I mean? So I felt like this wasn't a video that, oops, I uploaded the full thing, but I feel like it has been engineered for maximum exposure, you know. But I just don't know, is this the kind of response he wanted, or was this a side effect of the videos he posted? You know what I'm trying to get from here?
Yeah. So I don't believe anybody in their right mind will want to jeopardize their own livelihood, right?
Okay, but I mean, he did mention it was unsustainable income, lah.
Yes, sure. But I don't think it's in his interest to want to burn bridges either. So I personally don't feel that he had intended for this outcome to happen, to occur, right? So I think that this is not something that he expected. But at the very least, now people on several sides are pressuring him and telling him to stop lah. But okay, so let's deal with
both sides of the story lah. With both sides. Okay, let's go for arguments for the vendor.
Yes.
Right. So barring the fact that personally for myself, I feel like uploading interactions with students who are minors, for myself, I really think it crosses a line. Even though you blur their face, okay. Just barring that fact. Okay, number one, I felt like even though the very superficial connotation that it gives the public is that, I want to witch hunt this boy, naughty boy, you know. But most of his videos itself are very genuine, everyday interactions. And to be honest, I think it's very opaque to the general public. Because you send your kids to primary school, your kids is probably there for 1/3 of the day. Whatever they do in school, you will only be able to ask them when you are back home from work. Hey, how was your day? Do you learn this, learn that?
Yeah.
And I think this is a very interesting part about, how do you interact with the vendors? Because when the kids grow up, they will have to do their own purchasing themselves. So you see how they interact, how they actually make decisions, and to some certain extent, if let's say their budget is $1.50, but they overorder, you know how they actually like banter with the vendor, hey, can you
Yes,
put that
yes.
one back? I think this is
Yes.
very wholesome interaction itself from there. And it really humanized the whole interaction that students have with various different stakeholders in the school, be it the principal, be it the teachers, be it the cleaners,
Yes.
right? Be it the canteen vendors itself. And teachable moments, I mean, if barring again the fact that this video I felt is very long, if I know that I am the parent of the boy, I'll come back. Asian style, I will either hantam the boy, alright, or I will like say now, I say like, hey, you cannot do that. When you papa, mama give you money, do we throw the money at you? You know,
Yeah.
you know, this is like we give the money to you willingly. So when the vendor, you know, in exchange for a service, you're actually paying for their time. It's a very fair trade itself from there. What about yourself for argument for the vendor?
I feel that this is on one hand I feel quite a bit about the vendor, quite a bit for the vendor. So I think that number one, definitely I am not comfortable with the possibility that my kid might be uploaded, my kid's face and my kid's privacy might be infringed by being uploaded on social media. But we're not we are barring that for now.
Yeah,
we
okay,
are throwing
okay.
that out the window for now, right?
Okay.
So one of my favorite YouTube channels is this influencer who's in Japan, so called Paulo from Tokyo. So he does all this day in the life of a game developer,
Yes.
day in the life of I don't know cook, a restaurant owner or blah blah blah. So I feel that this is fantastic. Okay, this is like day in the life of a canteen vendor, right? I do feel that it brings to light the struggles and the interactions that a canteen vendor face on a day-to-day basis. That there is this aspect of society which is like our kids interact with, but we don't see the behind the scenes. Right? So this Rainer Tan, what I feel that barring the fact that the students' faces and privacy might be infringed, I think the concept in general is commendable.
So maybe just to shed a bit of insights on a vendor's life itself. I mean, we do all know that hawker vendors itself, they wake up really early.
Yes.
They have to like boil the bones, the soup and stocks and everything. But this is more in like a school setting, like the preparation of food, the selection of food, making food choices depending on the popularity of what kids like, you know. And also, I think we had this episode on MOE having a very stringent guideline of what is admissible to be sold and everything.
Yes.
I think all this thing. Alright, but I think argument against the vendor, I think this one is a very, very sore thumb, I feel. You know, it's like a splinter itself that we really have to mention, is that there isn't an explicit right that is given to you or is being signed over to you as the tuck shop vendor to upload whatever videos that you fancy. And do you think this will eventually become a precedence now that the school itself, I don't know, the liaison within the school and the hawkers, they'll go around, hey, I need to check your IG account. I need to check your CCTV footages. I need to know whether, like they start to, you know.
Then it becomes like the SCF, the red zone, the yellow zone,
correct,
the green
correct.
zone already, right?
So I feel like this action in Chinese, like 一竹帆打翻整船人, basically one single individual itself was set on a chain of events that affected other innocent people itself from there. Because it's like now, if he has been doing so for the sake of gaining popularity, or maybe just to, you know, just want to document his everyday life, what makes it such that the other vendors, maybe the old aunties, old uncles won't do it, but what if the third gen can't take over the store? Then they want to make a bit of a social media presence of this for them to propel to their next step in their career. I'm off a tangent here, but what if there are all these medias that's being taken and uploaded itself? And we can't deny the fact that with all the AI things and all, and you might have blurred out the student's face, but all the deep fakes, everything, all the weird thing will now start to surface because you now have a canvas, you have that boy's body over there. You just slap on whatever you want on the head, and it's a very slippery slope. And because of that, will that mean that now MOE have to screen vendor social media? Right? And do they have to get police consent of placing closed circuit TV in each of their store, be it handling money or not from there? So I think this is a fairly big concept, and I think that as a parent itself, I will be very worried because all our kids in Singapore have to go to school. I think it's mandated lah. They have to go all the way up to at least primary 6 itself from there, and unless they stay in the classroom lah. But most of the time when they go to the tuck shop to eat, then that means what my kid is under a microscope, under scrutiny. Then anytime, I'll just get my videos being uploaded, and the witch hunting will start from there. I'm just worried. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that this, what you said about the school being more concerned about what goes on in the social media space, I think this is a very valid concern, and I think it opens a whole can of worms.
Yep.
Because what happens if, let's say, we flip the tables? What happens if we're not talking about just the canteen vendor filming the students, right? What about the students filming each other? What about the students filming the canteen vendors? Right. So I think this is the primary school. And I mean, to my knowledge, primary schools, for upper primary, at least my son's primary school, what they do is that they allow the upper primary kids to have a device.
Okay.
But I don't know whether or not they are allowed to take out the device during recess or during break times. Upper primary, they are allowed the device with a written consent. So I think primary schools can enforce a bit more control. But when we are talking about secondary schools, we're talking about JCs, right? So what are the restrictions if, let's say, the students are able to take out the phone and then start filming the canteen vendors, right? Maybe there's one particular canteen vendor very grumpy, and I'm sure you've encountered like grumpy hawkers.
Yes, I have.
So if the hawker grumpy, right, you can sort of like give it to them, because like if, let's say, the queue very long lah, all right, they want to get the business done very very briskly. The hawker's vendor is still earning money.
Correct.
But when you're talking about canteen vendors, the poor things are not. So many of them are complaining about like unsustainable income already. So what happens if, let's say, a student films a grumpy canteen vendor
and then upload?
And then go and upload. Is it right? And I personally feel that the answer is not lah.
It's not lah. It's not right. It's against their consent lah.
Yeah, it's against their consent. Yeah.
But actually also in the right world, like you go up to the grumpy vendor, hey, just now I took a 10-second video of you, just putting scathing remarks to all the customers. You think I can get your consent to post this on social media? No one will also say yes, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I feel sometimes having CCTV itself, it encourages very voyeuristic behavior. You're just taking an opportunity to.
So CCTV for your own security, I think is okay.
I think it's okay,
but when
it's
you
circulated,
have a phone that you can just conveniently pull out and then start to like film, and then after that just post onto social media, then I think this becomes dangerous. And again, what happens if the students start filming themselves doing stupid things?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Okay, but I mean, we have talked about the vendor portion, but let's come from the institution, the school itself.
Yes.
So as the school, you must have that particular safeguard for your students. I think this is still very important. So do you think, it's a very harsh thing for them to say, hey, I need you to take down the video itself? I feel personally it's not harsh.
I don't think it's harsh.
Yeah, because even if, let's say, on the CCTV, it captures the vendor with a teacher's interaction, the teacher is buying food, you can blur out the teacher face. I think the same thing, so long that you are a member of the school, the institution has an obligation to protect your interests, itself from there. So I feel that anything that deals with children is a very sensitive area, because they are really minor, they are not capable of making decisions. And in fact, if, let's say, the vendor go to this 10-year-old kid, for example, hey, just now I film you throwing money at me, I'm going to blur out your face, then I'm going to upload on social media, you okay or not? So if they say okay, you also cannot act on that, because they are minor, right? Their words are also not binding as well. Then you cannot be like, I give you a consent form, you go back ask your parents to sign. Then that's also a very, very weird thing. So I think safety itself and liability. I think the school need to make sure that they cover all grounds that you don't want the parents to come with a pitchfork and a torch and say that, hey, why you allow your vendor to do all this thing? I want to cover my backside and say that no, I never allowed this. He did it without getting explicit consent. So from there.
Okay, so there's also another grey area that I think we haven't addressed. What happens, right, if this particular guy's videos are also privacy issues aside? Let's talk about what happens if this guy's videos become so popular, right, that he actually is able to monetize the content.
Okay.
So basically, he is monetizing the content with the schools, using the school's premises, using the school's venue, right? again, concerns of privacy aside, basically there is a certain layer of non-consent from the perspective of the school.
Yes.
Right? So do you think that this is right? Either. I feel that this is a super grey area as well.
Yeah, but
So I come to a public space like let's say I go to a shopping mall, then I start to film content that is able to be monetized, right?
so do you have to pay
I'm okay.
royalties?
Yeah,
to
I
the
don't have to
shopping
pay.
centre?
Yeah, I don't have to, right?
But the school, like I said in the first place, I feel like definitely if you ask me, hey, can students bring their phones out in the classroom and record the whiteboard because they might be slow in taking down notes? I think the clear answer is the school say no, cannot. All right, not because they think like the students are going to do any kind of mischievous act, but it's more for the safety and privacy of the tutors or the teachers itself. But you don't see the school placing a certain very stringent policy on all canteen vendors with like coming. I need to like go and use a metal detector and scan them, see they got any bug on it, any spike.
I think part of it is the quantity thing, right? Like, I mean, how many students do you have in the school? Like 500 students within the school. But how many canteen vendors do you have? You have like 10 canteen vendors.
So
correct?
not worth the effort to go screen them. So I think this whole incident itself over here, I think there's a lot of moving parts. Okay, so you first have the vendor, which I still want to feel like his social media, when he posts this particular interaction, he could have, and I think that he has the ability to do so, to put out very obnoxious caption to say like, "Wow, this kid did that. I'm very very insulted by that." But he didn't. It was just okay. This is just an interaction. Like it was just any other post that he did, and I will say that there is a huge degree of his intention, at least that he's trying to give to the public, as to like, this is a teachable moment. All right, like we are still humans, we need to be treated with respect, regardless of the age gap in the interaction with another human. So it could be someone that's 20 years younger than you, but I think the kind of respect that you demand, I think is still the same. It's a very two-way kind of a thing. So that's the vendor side of thing. But then the kid probably didn't have a say on it, and we will never ever hear from the kid having a say because the kid probably will be protected. No one can interview the kid. But so now let's talk about the kid's parent. We don't know who's the kid's parent, but the kid's parent definitely will be very concerned. So number one, I think is 丢脸 my kid like that. Very embarrassing. And I think that is my primary emotions initially. But then after that, we'll be like, hey, then what if now my kids becomes a laughing stock among all the peers? Then not everyone will say, this is the kid that throw money. And in fact, Wayron, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel the school, the students of the level probably know which kid they are.
Yeah,
they probably know.
Most likely.
They probably will know.
Yeah.
They probably will know already. And you can prevent the parent from wagging their tongues around to each other, but you can't prevent the kid from telling each other that, hey, this was the kid.
Yeah, this is the kid.
This is very unavoidable.
Yeah.
And then now we have, but without this video itself, we will never ever know that this is the kind of interactions that the kids are having in school. And this is very, so I'm having a little bit of a very paradoxical kind of situation because number one, I want to peer into it to know that these are the kind of interactions that's happening. But number two, I feel like this is still a wrong setting to tell the story.
Yes.
So if let's say this particular vendor didn't upload the video, but he blogged about this in words, do you think it's as intrusive as the video?
I don't think so because number one, there are certain things which are lost in words. Correct. So you don't show the kids mannerism, you don't show the kids like general figure, all right. You don't show the kids' voice. Then I think there is less for things to go on for people to identify this particular kid. I think if you're really, really determined, it is also possible to like maybe based off like the interaction, or maybe if I was with the kid or I was queuing up behind the kid who threw the money, I might be able to, after seeing the blog, identify who this kid was, and then after that like blast out on my social media like, hey, actually you see this particular blog post is like XXX person, right? I think it's still possible, but I think the chances become much, much lower. Right? But does it make it right? I think that's the next question.
I still think it doesn't make it right. And even if you redact the name, I think it has several establishment that was being made that he was from Mito School. Then people can't really link backwards. And Singapore is a very small place, and if you can tell me the particular school, then I think so. that's why I always feel like at that point when he decided to press post on this particular piece of information, it could have been done in a more discreet medium, like a blog post in words. But he chose to go with the video method. And my defense for him is that probably this whole video that he's posted is actually not for the general public consumption, just that maybe he makes the account public, but I feel it's more of his own video journaling. He want to video journal his whole thing as a hawker itself. Actually, you know, he's an engineer. Yeah. So I have been reading some background about him. He is someone that is very much into min-maxing lah. He will really like do several things. He will do the same thing 100 over times just to make sure that he get the results he will optimize. So it's very optimized kind of person, very logical thinking. So I feel like he's acting this in a very logical manner because all of my other posts has been video. So this is the medium I'm going to upload. So I don't feel he has malicious intention.
I don't believe so either. I don't believe so either.
So I think in conclusion, the thing here is the word is just, I think the word is just the world itself, but now that we have more means of capturing subtle information, all right, and videos, words, or even IG Reels or even YouTube Shorts, I think they all have their own place in media, but I just feel like the kind of things that you use to really to portray it sometimes might give off a certain meaning that you're not intending. So like I say, if you did it in a blog post versus doing it through a video, I feel that through a blog post, there's no finger pointing as much because you are really, really protecting the privacy itself from there. And I think while the intentions are good of the vendor, maybe he just want to say that this is a teachable moment. I think it is the people that are involved in the video that makes this a very vulnerable people to include in your casting of your video itself. So long if let's say this is a kid, I think that if this was a rude adult, I think there will be less fire, all right? Less fire in the space. People will still like say that you shouldn't do all that, but I think it will be less as compared to having kids itself from there. But these are my general thoughts for this entire video, and I think it's good or bad, but I think he's young, and I think that he quoted unsustainable income So I don't know, do I want to go and like fan the fire? But it could be he 有一个好台阶 to 下. He said like unsustainable, I don't want to renew the lease. Or whether is it the school thinks that no, I don't want to read. It's a very different story when the school don't want you versus you don't want you know. I fire the school versus the school fire me. I think it's a very different feeling.
But I mean, it could be both, right? So at the same time, like
and he's young, and I feel like whether we want to say we like it or not, I feel like this video has sort of like unanimously propelled him to be trending in Singapore for a short period of time. So I think that if he is going for another job hunt, I think that people will know him and I think this will probably assist him quite well in the next job hunting I would laugh a lot if let's say he go to another school to become a vendor. I would laugh
I'm also laughing. But I mean, I do think that this incident at the very least has brought to light like because our canteen vendors are also generally getting younger. I mean, we can't just rely on old people. The old canteen vendors are also like eventually they're going to want to retire. And then the younger people who are social media savvy will take over. All right. Maybe not just canteen vendors, right? In all other aspects.
All other industries.
There will be younger people who are social media savvy. And then we have to start thinking like, oh, okay, what degree of social media exposure is each particular company, is each particular institution comfortable with? So I think maybe the lesson here is like, I don't think it's difficult. I don't think it's 100% possible to have social media content like completely disappear, right? And actually content like this, like I said previously, is also commendable, like because it shows you like different facets of a student's life, different facets of a canteen vendor's life. Okay, I don't think content like this should disappear completely, but perhaps we need clearer guidelines, right?
But this kind of unscripted content itself is in its purest form, right? But if it's like those kind of Paulo in the Japan, that kind, I feel it's very scripted He will tell the person, I'm going to film you. He probably is in the person's house when the person wake up to brush his teeth and everything, right?
Yes.
So when you are watching and you are an audience that doesn't think much, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But then...
but it's still scripted, right?
It's scripted.
So and everybody all has consent,
but this is as raw can be. This is like totally unscripted.
You're right.
Alright, so I think today... itself, this particular topic, let's run a conclusion. Do you think this is a TakChek or a PekChek topic?
So I think that there is no clear conclusion for this. Definitely, I'm on the side of need more guidelines, and we have to zoom in on the principles of the matter, right? Like, what do we want to protect? We want to protect the kids' privacy. We want to protect the staff's privacy as well, right? But I think some of these, they are not easy problems to tackle, and they're not easy problems to address. So I personally feel that while this is interesting in itself, I think this is more of a PekChek.
A basic topic for you. All right. I think for me, I will feel that this is a very toxic topic. All right. So I want to add a few things here first. So there is a particular Malaysia educator influencer. I cannot remember her name.
TV, is it?
I think TV. We'll include it in the show notes at the bottom.
Yeah.
She does film herself interaction in the class, but she always says herself.
Yes.
She always says herself. So she is that. So I was thinking that if, let's say, this tuck shop thing, this whole incident was done with the camera facing just the vendor himself, then he do all this action, would it have drew lesser flake and, remove away the whole privacy concern, but have the general public focus on the teachable moments like, hey, this is kind of nonsense I'm dealing with, and this is how I chose to respond to it. And I felt like maybe the camera angle could have, still be a little bit modified to make sure that this is a more wholesome kind of a video going out. I feel it's TakChek here is because I really agree with one sentence that you mentioned towards the closing of this podcast, is that the industry renewal, you're going to have injection of the people into all this newer industry, be it education, be it F&B, they're all going to be young, they're going to be savvy with social media, whether we want it or not. And I think this is their manner of communication, and I think we ourselves have to evolve. And also for any lawmakers or people who's going to pass any bill, they also have to understand that these are the people that you are going to be dealing with in the near future. That you have to write laws and modify laws to really to adapt. And I feel that's again. So I think this is a pretty interesting kind of topic for us. All right, but we do wish Mr. Tan, having a good second career or whichever the next step you're going with. And for the rest of the parents, if you are in this position whereby your kids is the perpetrator here and you are being placed on videos, will you feel like this is going to be a moment that you will not be very happy with, or you felt like, no, this is my moment to go back and use this as a pivot to hunt down the kid itself from there. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.